This interview was recorded at the 2013 Genetics Society Autumn Meeting, looking into how genes generate shape. To hear more from the conference, you can subscribe to the Naked Genetics podcast for free at nakedscientists.com.
I'm Harriet Johnson. I'm a PhD student at the University of Nottingham, and we're researching the genetics of left-right asymmetry in development in snails.
Why are you looking in snails?
So in people, you have internal left-right asymmetry. So your heart's slightly on the left, you have one appendix that's on the right, and this is usually the same in all people. But in approximately 1 in 10,000 people, the whole system is completely flipped, and they're medically all right. As long as everything's in the right place with respect to itself, then it's okay, like being a British car or an American car. We want to look into what drives these differences, because by looking at how you organise it in normal development, then you can try and identify how to fix it when things go wrong. So we need a system that we can look into what's driving it in development. So the special thing about snails is you can see on their shell that it coils in one direction. So mostly you'll find ones that coil in a clockwise direction, but you can also find ones that coil the other way in an anti-clockwise.
And are we talking about your common garden snail, or is this a special snail that you found somewhere?
You can find ones in the UK that will go the other way round. There's some species, but mostly about 90% of the snails that you'll find will be clockwise coiling. So that's a little homework project. You can see if you can find any anti-clockwise snails in your garden, and they might be very important. So our snails that we use are a common pond snail, which are most often clockwise coiling. But also within the same species, you get ones that are anti-clockwise coiling, but they're much rarer, and it's genetically recessive. We know of a population in Hawaii, so we're looking to find some over there, but they hadn't been identified since the 40s. So we're hoping that they're still there, and I think it's worth a trip.
So what have you found that underlies this genetically?
The interesting thing about this is it happens so early on in development. It's actually not the genes of the individual that are functioning, it's the genes of the mother that laid the eggs. So we have to look at these maternal effect genes. We know that there is one gene or closely linked group of genes that are driving this left-right asymmetry, because in our population where we have both types, we can breed them together and look for genetic differences, and we know it's inherited. We're trying to identify this gene, this causal gene.